a deadly midair collision between a military helicopter and an American Airlines flight over Washington, D.C. Crews are currently working in the Potomac River to find victims this morning. There were 64 people on board that passenger jet and 3 soldiers in that helicopter. I want to show you this. This was the moment that crash happened as the American Eagle flight was coming in for a landing. And you can see, the lights there. This is when they collide, turns into a fireball, and then all of that debris falls into the river. Sources are telling NewsNation that there are fatalities on board and members of the U.S. figure skating team and their families also on board. It's just been a horrific morning. Still too early to say how many people have officially been killed, but joining me now is Clint Henderson. He's the managing editor for The Points Guy and Aviation Analyst. Clint, thank you for joining me this morning. You've been monitoring this story all night as well. You've seen the video, I imagine. You've also listened to ATC correspondents. Your top line thoughts on this tragedy and what we've seen transpire so far?
Well, first of all, I just want to say my heart really goes out to the friends and family of those waiting for word on the fate of their friends and family on this flight. It's just awful. We were talking in our newsroom. Some of the younger generations have never experienced a plane crash like this. They weren't really aware of what happened in 9/11. We haven't had a serious aviation accident in this country since 2009 with Colgan Air, and it's just devastating for everyone. I think the one thing that always comes out of these tragedies is we learn so much about safety and procedures, and there's always a lot of changes in the wake of an accident like this. So I'm hopeful that we can learn something from this crash, and there's so little we don't know right now, but this is one of the most crowded airspaces in the country. Lots of traffic, both military and civilian. You've got choppers coming back and forth from the Pentagon, and
Yep.
We just don't know what happened exactly yet.
Yeah, and this airport, this airspace well. I mean, Class B airspace that is so congested, but they have this kind of, air traffic, down to a well-oiled machine, if you will. You need ATC clearance to even operate within it. The big question, I think, is how does something like this happen? I mean, where did communication go wrong? What say you there on the how?
Yeah, well, it's remarkable considering how much traffic there is in the Northeast Corridor and what ATC is dealing with, that we don't have accidents like this. And, I think there's going to be a lot of learnings that come from that over time. We'll just have to hear. It sounded like the plane was at around 300 feet when the crash happened on approach. This airport has short runways. Pilots have to have extra training here, and so all this is going to be weighed in the days and weeks ahead, and hopefully we can learn something from this.
Yeah, and all the different factors that are now playing into making this more challenging. This was a night crash. It's now in the water, freezing cold water, by the way. This is going to change aviation, Clint, and how we move forward here. What does the public need to hear from officials today? Because events like this always change attitudes of flyers, right? What does the public need to hear, and what do you expect we hear today?
Yeah, I think we just really need to reiterate to the public that flying is among the safest forms of transportation in the world, and crashes like this are very unusual, and you can bet that all the resources of the federal government are going to be thrown at this to make sure we find out exactly what happened so nothing like this ever happens again.
Clint Henderson, I have to leave it there, but thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.